What is up, YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or wherever you're watching this? My name is Jonny. I'm with MASTR Productions, and today we're going to be looking over a beat called Gashi. That's right, Gashi. It's pretty simple. I didn't want to overdo it, really, because my CPU can't run OBS and Ableton at the same time very well. But that's besides the point. I'm going to show you how I build my melodies and some of the processing that I'm using on some of these instruments. Alright, so first things first, let's start with the bell. Alright, so notice that my gain on every track is very, very low. That's because plugins work the best at -15 dB. And that's because a lot of these plugins that you use on any DAW, not even Ableton, they're analog modeling plugins. So it's important to know that 0 dB is not 0 VU, which is the analog loudness measuring unit. It's actually -15 dB is 0 VU. So you want to keep that in mind as you're feeding your plugins through the chain. That being said, let's look at this melody here. Pretty simple. It just repeats. And then when it gets to the beat part, I bring it up an octave. So yeah, I'm going to keep moving on. Let's go to the drums. Okay, so let's take a look at the processing. And again, I'm keeping all my gain super low. It's not really low, but the way most people mix, it actually is really low. So you'll notice out of the drum bus, my samples are pretty hot, right? I actually have like no processing coming from the drum bus, like from the samples. So they go right to the bus, and I throw on the Ableton drum bus, and the first thing I do is take off like 20 dB so that my fader sits at -15 as my peak. And that's so when I feed it into the rest of my chain, I'm not clipping. I'm getting a nice clean signal on all my plugins. Because nowadays workstations have like 50 dB of like makeup gain that they can add cleanly. So know that. The hip hop puncher from Saturn, if you're not using this on your drum bus, like, you're really slacking. Like, this shit's amazing. First thing I do is I bring like the mix tab like down to like 20, 25, and then I bring this high end down a little bit because it kind of distorts your hi-hats if you let it. It shouldn't if you got like the right gain going in. If you're like clipping 0 when you feed it to it, it sounds terrible. So make sure you're doing that. The Aphex Vintage Exciter, fantastic for the high end. Fantastic. It's like a one knob thing. I mean, there's other mix modes over here. Mix 2 kind of like muddies things a little bit, I found. So I just keep mix 1 on there. It's pretty awesome. Devil Lock, awesome for that punch. I actually let Devil Lock like give me a couple dB of gain. Like, it's fine. I'm starting to get to the end of the chain where my limiters are. So it's really not that bad. I got some tape machine emulation going on. Some reverb, but only on like, I think it's like 500 and above. I also have this multi-band limiter on my drum bus, and that's to keep the presence like all the time. But I don't let it go like crazy with my gain. And then that all goes to the vintage limiter, which is just, it's fantastic. If you're not using this, use it. It's got a nice taste to it. I'm going to leave it off on this tutorial just because it eats my CPU. Let's go to the bass. A lot of my bass, a lot of it is the same as my drum processing. But I don't bust them all together because, like, consider this. Like, what if you want like wide stuff in your drums, right? Like, you want your hi-hats and your snares, like maybe they're going all over the place. You got some phase delays and stuff. Like, you can't do that in mono. So if you're sending like your bass through your drum chain, like it's not gonna sit how you want. So you want a full mono bass. Like if you're doing hip hop or pop or anything, mono bass. Check out that I'm down like 20 dB in my gain stage, so that when I hit my first plugins, like I'm not clipping, you know. Like, check out my, I'm down at negative 25. That's probably a little excessive, to be honest. Like, bring that up a little bit. The hotter you can get your gain going in, like the better sound, yes. But when you already have the sound recorded, like, you got to use the noise floor or lack thereof to your advantage. So keep your stuff quiet. Keep it quiet, because you'll get it loud in the mastering process. Like, you have way more precision down at like negative 15 dB than you do at like negative 5 dB. If you know about like dB and like logarithmic drop off, like, you have way more precision bringing down 2 dB from 15 dB than you do 2 dB from like 2 dB. You get what I'm saying. If you don't, DM me. Hip Hop Puncher, again, for the presence of the bass. Right, quick AB, sounds great. The one thing you gotta watch out with this watch out for with this plugin is, like, you pop it on and sometimes your low end will kind of fade out, like your sub 40, 50 hertz. So be aware of that. That's left over from my drum chain. I don't need that. The saturator is dope because it has really nice color to it, and you can go ham, like big time. I'm not gonna touch it because I actually dialed this in like pretty precise. But the U78 saturator is fantastic for like those low mids, getting the bass to punch on like a phone. Crucial. The effects I usually leave off. Like I said, I copy and paste a lot of this from the drum bus. Devil lock, definitely throwing that on. Virtual tape, probably don't need it. L316, this thing's amazing. Like, it just adds like that loudness without any crunch. It's really fantastic. This utility, I'm actually only using it to automate my end of the phrase up here. And like last minute, I actually decided to throw this in because I felt like it glued the low end together a little bit. The EQ P1A is just, it's fantastic for like tweaking that low end between the kick and the bass. Yeah, so that's pretty much the beat. I'll show you my master chain real quick. First thing I do is I compress like very little. Like, I just want like this little, like this constant sound through the mix, like the whole time. Like this, I want like that tight ball of sound in the mix. So I do parallel compression with the slate gray. This thing's awesome. And then, yep, you guessed it, the Saturn Hip Hop Puncher again. It's in mastering if you're looking for it. It's right there. Again, pull down the mix, pull down band 4. It gets excessive because look, it's adding like 3 dB there. It wants to add 4 on this if you don't tame it, but I think it sounds good. So after that, I would use a bunch of limiters. Usually, I'll be straight up, I don't use the L2 to the Ableton limiter. I actually prefer the vintage limiter from Ozone. But in order to record this and like stream it and talk at the same time. I gotta keep an eye on my CPU, and the Ozone stuff is really CPU intensive, but it's all the same really. This is Levels from Mastering the Mix. Fantastic plugin for getting your levels right at the end of your mix. It's got a dynamic range thing, so if like your shit's too compressed, it's gonna let you know. Stereo feels like if you have too much wide stuff going on, or I don't know, lets you know. Bass space, I don't really use it. I use this plugin mainly for the LUFS meters. So Drake's More Life, the whole album, it gets about 9 LUFS. So that's kind of what I aim for. I think that album sounds great. It's not super crushed. That's still one of my favorites. Boom! That's pretty much it. That's my mix. Again, it's called Gashi. It's going to be on my store if you want to pick it up. You want to pick up a lease. I got MP3 leases, wave leases. You can even buy the exclusive rights to this beat if you want. So go ahead, check out the website. I'll put a link down here somewhere. www.mastrproductions.com. I've got beat packs, I got melody packs, I got loop packs, I got some Omnisphere presets coming to the store real soon, so stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead, give me a like, thumbs up, share if you're a boss, but it really does help me because I try to do this full time, and when I get likes and stuff, it helps me out. So thanks for tuning in. I'm going to be doing this a little bit more often. Yeah, Gashi. I'm Tall Jonny. Add me on Instagram, Tall Jonny Music, and check out my main channel, Master Productions. Peace.